really grateful that, aside from the technical difficulties, I'm really grateful to see all your wonderful faces. Happy Monday. I hope we all had a healthy, happy weekend. And yeah, so I'm Nick, and Chef Nick. I'm going to lead you all in a try to be 1 hour or less, maybe 50 minutes or less here if we really get our ducks in order, creating a what's called the Wild Joy Pole bowl. Okay, so that's going to consist of, we're going to start with making a homemade guacamole. Then we're going to go into making a kind of a one sheet pan type of veggie protein mix. That means it's all going to go on one sheet pan. And then we're going to, as our base, we're going to do a white rice and black bean combo for the base of this dish. So to kind of get us started, the first things you're going to need for equipment, obviously, you're going to want a sheet tray that you're going to put all of your veggies and your protein on. You're going to need a medium-sized saucepan for the rice and the beans. And then as far as stuff for the veggies, you're just going to want a bowl to kind of mix oil and spices in. So an empty kitchen bowl. You're going to want a waste bowl. And then you'll need a separate bowl to whip up the guacamole. So a lot of kitchen bowls, but we will manage. So to start this Monday cooking webinar, what we're going to start with is actually making the guacamole. Then we're going to move on into starting up the veggies protein sheet tray, and then we'll add in cooking the rice in the midst of while the veggies and protein are cooking. So that's going to be sort of the order of the flow, and then we'll plate it and drop it all in, bring it all home on the drop phase of the meal. So first things first. So the guacamole. Ingredients you're going to need a ripe avocado. You need it ripe because you need it to be soft, and you need to be able to cut through it, mash it up. You're also going to need some lime juice or limes, jalapeno, some garlic, and some salt. There are a number of different ways that you can go about making guacamole. You can add onions to them, and you can also add tomatoes, but I'm opting not to use tomatoes or onions just because, at least not tomatoes, because they're not in season for me. So I'm going to kind of omit the tomatoes. But with the avocado, the fat, the acid from the lime, and the salt, and then the spice from the jalapeno, we might also add a little bit of cilantro to that as well. So you can kind of get creative. There's no right or wrong way in making a guacamole. We're going to just really try to bring out a nice balance of fats, which is the fat, acid, salt, spicy. There's also some sweet components, but we're not going to get too sweet with the guacamole. So first things first. So find yourself an empty kitchen bowl. You're going to want to start with having up the avocado. So again, I'm going to start right down the middle of the avocado. Gently just sort of guide the knife, cutting the avocado in half, and I'll twist it apart. And there you go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make little dices. So I'm going to slice across the flesh in a crisscross pattern. Okay. And then with the avocado pit, I'm going to hold it nice and gently in my left hand. I'll squeeze the bottom of my knife here. I'm just going to give it a gentle tap and then twist and let that pit come right out. So you want to hold on to the pit because if you want this to, if you're making this ahead of time or you're going to keep it overnight, the pit is going to help the flesh of the avocado stay green. It's not going to spoil it, make it brown. So you will actually throw the avocado pit in at the end to help preserve the avocado for the guacamole. Okay, so I'll need to crisscross that other side. Okay, when it's all crisscrossed, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my spoon and just scoop the flesh of the avocado into the bowl. I'll discard the pit or the shell. Okay, so you can kind of see just the flesh of the avocados in there. Okay, next thing I'm going to go start with, I'm going to add the garlic. Okay, so I have, I don't know, we'll try 2 cloves of garlic here. So I've already peeled it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to lob off the end, which is right here, and then give it a smash. And I just use the butt end of my knife to smash it down. And then I'm just going to start to rough dice the garlic.
So is that, Nick, the amount of garlic you use kind of based on personal preference and taste?
Yeah, yep.
So for those that
So
don't know,
if I was doubling this batch, I might use 4 cloves.
okay. And how long do you think like a double batch would last? Just depends on how much guacamole you eat.
Yeah, that'd be I'd say it probably lasts no more than 24 hours in your fridge with the pit.
Okay.
And just kind of making sure that you store it in a nice airtight container.
So would you recommend, if you're making this, and does it change the flavor after 24 hours? Is this something you'd probably recommend making fresh most of the time?
I would recommend probably trying to do it as fresh as possible. So like you could, obviously like a few hours ahead of time, you might be able to have some leftovers that you could throw on your eggs the next morning, that kind of thing.
Okay. Because sometimes people get a little overzealous and try to prepare for a week, but sounds like guacamole is not something you can just hold on to for a week.
Yeah, not a huge batch, but it's really not super complicated, right? So,
yeah.
So whipping up a batch of guacamole on your own, 10 minutes maybe.
Cool.
So I'm going to add the garlic in to the bowl. Okay, next I'm going to add the cilantro. So I'm just going to rough chop the cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, for some people it kind of has a soapy taste. You can omit the cilantro. And I'll add that in. Next, I'm going to add the jalapeno. Okay, so I'll lob off the top, slice down the middle lengthwise, making it look like that. I'm going to scoop out the seeds of the jalapeno as such. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the inside part of the jalapeno down on the cutting board and make small strips.
So Nick, how would you recommend getting rid of those seeds for somebody who's never used or cut a jalapeno, or why do you recommend getting rid of the seeds?
Well, the seeds are, I mean, you could, depending on your preference for spice, you could leave a few seeds in there. That's where they pack most of the heat, is in the seed. There's also a little trick that if you take a little bit of the inside like strip of the jalapeno, like kind of that little middle fleshy part, and have a bite, you kind of gauge how spicy it's going to be.
Oh,
That's pretty spicy. Oh, so, whew. I did not expect that. Okay, so yes, remove the seeds to kind of keep the spice level intact. Wow. Okay.
cooking under pressure now.
I'm gonna sweat now. Wow. But yeah, that little trick will tell you a little bit about the spice level of the jalapeno. So once I have these strips, I'm gonna line them all up, okay? And then I'm going to just give it a nice fine dice.
I have a quick question about the stems of the cilantro. So a lot of times people, if they are buying things, you know, what can you use the stems of the cilantro, or do you just have to use the leaves?
I use them both. I think they're edible. So they're not like compared to parsley or mint, they have a very woody stem. So the stems of cilantro are not as woody.
Okay, so you don't have to like pluck the leaves off prior to. You can just take that whole bundle, just chop, 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 and go to town.
Yes, that's correct.
Cool.
If you really want to go the extra step, like if you're gonna, if you really want to avoid the stemmy cells of it, or the stemmy part, you can peel off. But for all intensive purposes,
It's not going to change much.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we have the jalapeno, the cilantro, and the garlic mixed in. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to at least add one juice of lime. So one little trick to get the juice of the lime going is to actually roll it out on your cutting board, kind of sort of plumping it up. Okay. I'll slice it, and then if I want to, one of the ways to kind of get the lime juice to really come out, this is going to hurt because I cut myself, but oh well. I'll take the butt end of my spoon, and I'm going to just sort of dig in, squeezing and digging out at the same time. Okay. And this is going to be to your taste. So what we're going to do is we're going to just mash all this up and then give it a taste check. And then if we want to add more lime juice, we will. It's all to your preference from here. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some salt. Just going to guess it here. I've got my salt jar right here mixed of kosher salt and pepper already at my side. Then we're going to use a masher, like a potato masher or whatever, and we're going to start to mash up the guac.
Now, is there a reason why you chose a masher more than just like a spoon or a fork or something like that?
Well, I really want to integrate all the flavors, right? So
Okay.
the acid, the salt, the garlic, by sort of mashing it together, you're going to infuse the flavors much more consistently. And you're going to get a lot creamier texture at the end.
Okay.
You're trying to break up those dices of avocado. Okay, taste check. Mine's pretty well balanced. I could probably add a little bit more lime juice. So if everyone wants to try Their taste check.
So what would be it if for somebody that's never made this before? Lime juice is adding what to the to your taste profile?
Some brightness.
Okay.
So you're trying to balance again the acid, the salt, and the fat. So when those things are in harmony, that's going to really help elevate the taste and the palate, what we're going for. So avocado on its own is kind of bland. With adding the acid, that's going to bring a little tartness, some life to it. But we want to add the salt so that we kind of balance out the acidity.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm going to say that's good for me. Where's everybody at on their avocado, on their guacamole? Good? Amanda, how are you?
She's
Did you
good.
taste check it?
Looks like it.
Any adjustments? More acid, more salt?
Jojo said more salt.
And if you add too much salt, you can always add in more lime juice to kind of help balance that out. So that's always, and garlic is also a bit more on the acidic end as well. So, okay.
I think we're good.
We're good. Okay.